I'm going to give you a little short backstory on him. My husband and I will say we belong to a band of misfits that used to, let's say, I don't know, play soldier up in Schuylkill, well, not Schuylkill County. We used to do it in Centralia, Pennsylvania. 3 years ago, we were actually approached by Mr. Chief Kessler, wanting to know if he could come out and join in our fun. We were a little hesitant at first, and we kind of just blew it off just because of the times. And then we decided to do this rally, fast forward 3 years, and someone approached me, Mr. Gary here, and he's like, "I'd like for Chief Kessler to speak here. Could you contact me?" I said, "Okay." I didn't know who he was, and I Googled him, and I was like, "Chief Kessler of Gilberton Police Department," and it rang a bell. And I called him up and I spoke to him, and I've never been more happy to say that we have someone on our side. And I introduce you to Mr. Chief Mark Kessler.
How's everybody going today? It's truly an honor. It's truly an honor to be here. And I can tell you that I stand with you and I don't stand against you. A little bit about my background. Chief of Police now for about 10 years in a borough called Gilberton Borough.
Speak up, sir.
It's about 870 people in Gilberton Borough. Recently, I drafted legislation to introduce by borough officials. It's called the Second Amendment Preservation Resolution. It was adopted by Gilberton Borough on January 24th at the last meeting. And in particularly, it states in some of the sections, I don't go through the whole thing. It's on the chiefkessler.com if you want to read the whole thing, but whereas to prevent federal, state, or local infringement on the right to keep and bear arms, firearms, firearm accessories, or ammunition, nullifying all federal, state, or local acts in violation of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, along with Article 1, Section 21, the right to bear arms of the Pennsylvania Constitution. The people of the Borough of Gilberton do and act as follows. Council of the Borough of Gilberton within the state of Pennsylvania finds all federal, state, or local acts, laws, orders, rules, or regulations regarding firearms, firearm accessories, or ammunition a violation of the Second Amendment, along with Article 1, Section 21 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, along with this resolution. We're nullifying any and all federal, state, or local rules that come down against the Second Amendment. And in particularly the last part of our resolution, I can say I'm very proud of. It shall be the duty of the governing body of Gilberton Borough or the police of chief to adopt or enact any and all measures as may be necessary to prevent the unconstitutional enforcement of any federal, state, or local acts, laws, orders, rules, or regulations in violation of the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, along with Article 1, Section 21 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, the right to keep and bear arms. So with that said, I can pretty much full range in Gilberton Borough. If they give me to try and disarm any of my citizens, it's not going to go over very well. I have a few words here. I worked with Oath Keepers President Stuart Rhodes, for many of you that are familiar with. These are my words and his words combined. The urgency of our current situation compels me to speak out. The disarmament freaks are now telling us that they don't want to disarm us. They just want to take away our semi-auto personal defense weapons, or as they call them, assault rifles, high-capacity magazines that feed them. They want us to believe that so as long as we own some kind of firearm or semi-auto personal defense weapons are taken, we are not disarmed. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. That is definitely a lie. The truth is that our semi-automatic personal defense weapons are the single most important kind of arm we can own and are truly, utterly necessary for effective defense of our lives, property, and liberty. When you are disarmed of your semi-auto personal defense weapons, you are disarmed. At the time, the lion's share of your military capacity of effective resistance tyranny is removed. Your accurate bolt-action rifle, hunting rifles are useful in that role too. But the semi-auto battle rifle is truly the queen battle. As Colonel Jeffrey correctly noted, it is a significant force on the battlefield. As Patrick Henry said, if you give up that force, you are inevitably ruined. It is the height of moral preservation of language and logic to say that disarming you of the most effective arm for combat that you still have somehow not really disarmed you, because you still have hunting rifles and shotguns. And you can bet that if you let them take your semi-auto personal defense weapons, next on the list will be your bolt-action rifles. They will cost rifle rifles. And then when they have those, they will go after any weapon that holds more than a few rounds, or is capable of any degree of long-range accuracy or penetration powers, telling you that you really don't need any of those on target practice and shotgun fights. And then they will take everything except the single shot shotguns or 22s, as was done in England, and down on the line. So if you have at least a 22, they will say you're not disarmed. Well, they take everything else, then they will take the 22s, or insist they can keep them at a gun range. We need to call and teach our fellow citizens that taking away our semi-auto personal defense weapon is disarmament. And we need now to throw down the gauntlet and take a hard stand against it. Right now, we the people and the Oath Keepers pledge to not obey any orders to disarm the American people. This is what we meant. Any intent to disarm the people of any arms currently in their possession is illegitimate and must be nullified. Refuse, disobeyed, and resisted.
Yeah.
And so, in response to this obvious assault on our right to keep and bear arms, as in semi-auto personal defense weapons, I feel compelled to make the following pledge, and I hope you agree with this pledge as I and Stuart Rhodes and many other Oath Keepers across the country pledge. I, Mark Kessler, as an American, as a police officer, as a father, pledge to follow. I pledge to never disarm any, in particular to surrender my semi-automatic personal defense rifles and full-capacity magazine, parts, and ammunition that go with them, regardless of what illegitimate action is taken by the Congress or the President or the courts, period. I also pledge to pass on those semi-automatic personal defense rifles to my children and my children's children, as well as the full-capacity magazines, parts, and ammunition needed to use them. Regardless of what illegitimate action was taken by Congress, the President, or the courts, the founding father, Trench Coat, said, while attempting to allay the fears of critics of the proposed Constitution, the powers of the sword are in the hands of the tyranny of America from 16 to 60. The militia of these free commonwealths, entitled and accustomed to their arms when compared with any possible army, must be tremendous and irresistible. Who is the militia? Are they not ourselves? Is it feared then that we shall turn our arms each man against his own bosom? Congress has no power to disarm the militia. The sword and every other terrible implement of the soldier are the birthright of an American. The unlimited power of the sword is not in the hands of either the federal or state government, but where I trust in God it will ever remain, in the hands of the people. That was published in the Pennsylvania Gazette, February 20th, 1688. Oh! And that power of the sword, those terrible implements of the soldier, includes the people's battle rifles and carbines, their M1As, their FNLARs, their HJ91s, their grandfather's M1 Grand, their AK-47s, their ARs and M4s, all of the weapons listed as being hardened by Feinstein's new and approved assault weapons ban. The whole point of the Second Amendment is to preserve the military capacity of the American people, preserve the ability of the people who are the militia, provide their own security as individuals, as neighbors, towns, counties, and states during an emergency, man-made or natural. Preserve the military capacity of the American people to resist tyranny and violations of their rights by oath breakers within government, and to preserve the military capacity of the people to defend the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, with those breaking domestic enemies within government. It is not about hunting. At its core, the Second Amendment.
No.
It's cold out here, guys. It's not really even about self-defense against private criminals. It's about self-defense against public criminals, against tyrants, usurpers, and foreign invaders.
Yes.
I stand with everybody here today. As a police officer and chief of police, there's a lot of good cops out there. There's also a lot of bad cops. I can tell you right now, I'm one of the good guys. And I will stand shoulder to shoulder with any one of you today.